Ever find yourself wishing you had someone or something to bounce ideas off of? Someone who could keep up with you, push you further. That's what we're diving into today, augmented intelligence.
Not robots taking over the world, though.
Right, right. Think of it more as AI becoming part of us, an extension.
Yeah, like a partnership.
Exactly. And we've got some fascinating sources for this deep dive. They really get into how AI could change how we connect with each other, how we create, even what work looks like down the line. Though it's not all sunshine and roses, you know?
Oh, absolutely not.
There are some big, and I mean big questions about the downsides, things we can't ignore.
Definitely agree with you there.
So let's jump right in. One of our sources starts off with this idea that AI isn't here to replace us, but to work with us.
Interesting.
They actually compare it to, like, a surgeon using a scalpel.
Okay, I see. The tool itself doesn't replace the skill, it enhances it, right? Makes sense. And what's really cool is they're saying it's not just about doing things better, but differently. Maybe even discovering completely new things we haven't thought of yet.
No, that's exciting. And you know what I find interesting? How younger generations see this whole AI thing. For them, it's not this far-off sci-fi concept. They're growing up with it.
It's completely natural to them.
Exactly. So they don't see it as this cold, scary technology. It's more like a partner in crime, a way to be more creative, solve problems in new ways.
And it goes even deeper than that, right? I mean, our source talks about AI that can understand not just what we say, but how we say it.
You mean like reading between the lines?
Even more than that, imagine AI picking up on your tone of voice,
Yeah.
your facial expressions.
So think about therapists who can tailor their approach based on your emotional state, or connecting with someone across the world who just gets you, not just your hobbies or whatever, but your deepest fears and dreams.
It's like taking the best parts of social media, that promise of connection, but stripping away all the noise.
It's like having a direct line to someone's soul.
Exactly. But, and our source makes this very clear, this level of connection, of understanding, it comes at a price.
Right, because if AI is going to be that in tune with us,
It needs to know everything.
our hopes, our anxieties, everything, right. And to
Yeah.
get that, we're talking about giving up a ton of personal data. So then the question becomes, how much are we willing to share?
And who do we trust with that information?
Exactly. And what could they do with it? That's something to think about. And that brings us to, I think, the big elephant in the room when we talk about AI, you know, the whole robots are going to take our jobs thing.
Right, everyone's worried about that.
But what's interesting is our source says it's not that simple. It's not necessarily about replacement, but more like a shift.
A transformation.
Exactly. Like, take lawyers, for example. What if AI could handle all that tedious paperwork, all those legal documents, all that research?
You would free them up to actually, be lawyers.
Right, to focus on strategy, on connecting with clients, or think about
Yeah.
doctors. AI analyzing medical images, flagging potential problems.
Giving doctors more time to spend with patients, more time to really understand what's going on.
So it's not about AI taking over, but taking on those tasks that, let's be honest, are pretty repetitive for humans, leaving us to do what we do best. The creative stuff, the problem solving, the human stuff.
It makes sense in theory, but you can't help but wonder what happens to the people in those jobs AI might take over.
That's the big question, right?
What about the people whose jobs are primarily about those repetitive tasks? How do we make sure they're not left behind in this whole AI revolution?
It's like we need a whole new game plan for education, for job training. We need to be teaching people how to adapt, how to learn new skills throughout their lives.
Absolutely, because what's considered a future-proof job today might be obsolete tomorrow. That's how fast things are moving.
Our source actually said something like, what seems like cutting-edge tech today will be like commonplace tomorrow. We're not just adapting to AI being here, but to how quickly it's changing everything.
Like trying to hop on a train that's already speeding up.
Yeah.
We really need to be thinking ahead, anticipating those changes.
And having these conversations now, not 10 years from now when it might be too late.
Exactly. And it's not just on tech people to figure this out. It's on policymakers, educators, everyone. We need to make sure the benefits of AI are shared, not just, for the lucky few.
Right, because it's not just a technology issue, it's a societal one. And speaking of issues, I feel like we need to address the other big concern about AI.
Let me guess, giving algorithms too much control.
Exactly. If we're handing over more and more decisions to AI, how do we know those decisions are fair? How do we know they're not biased?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And, it's not just about the AI itself. It's about the information is learning from, the data.
Because if the data is flawed, if it reflects our own biases, then the AI is just going to amplify those problems.
Right. It's like that saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. And we're already seeing examples of this, like hiring algorithms that are discriminatory or facial recognition software that has trouble accurately identifying people of color. We need to fix these problems, and fast.
Absolutely. We need ethical guidelines, regulations, everything.
Yeah.
Because AI is powerful, but it's not inherently good or bad. It all comes down to how we choose to use it.
So we need to be careful about just blindly trusting AI, assuming it's always going to make the right decision.
Right. Because right is subjective. It depends on who you ask. We need to make sure those decisions are aligned with our values as a society, that they're benefiting everyone, not just a select few.
So again, it comes back to us. We're the ones building this technology, training it, using it. We can't just sit back and hope for the best.
We need to take responsibility, to be thoughtful, to be critical, to ask tough questions, because AI is a reflection of its creators. So what does that say about us?
It's almost like we're standing at a crossroads, right? Like AI could either take us to this amazing future, or it could,
Or it could lead us down a pretty dark path. And that's why this whole conversation is so important. We can't just sit back and watch it happen,
Right. We need to be shaping this thing, making sure it works for us, for everybody. But where do we even start? How do we make sure AI is used for good?
Well, for me, it starts with being open. Like, the people creating these AI systems, they need to be talking to the people who are actually going to be using them, living with them.
Bridging that gap, right, between the tech world and, well, the rest of us.
Exactly. Because the folks building this stuff, they need to get the ethical side of things, the real-world impact of their creations.
It's like that saying, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Love that. And it can't just be tech people having this conversation. We need everyone at the table, the government, philosophers, even artists, to make sure AI reflects, all of us.
Different viewpoints, different values. That's how we make something that works for everyone.
And it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff, right? It's about using AI to solve the big problems.
Okay, now you're getting me excited again.
Think about it. AI helping us fight climate change, coming up with personalized medicine, maybe even helping us understand each other better, different cultures, different languages, all that.
Now that's the future I want to live in. It feels like we're on the verge of something huge, a whole new era. But like you said, it all comes back to us. We're the ones in control.
And that's exactly what our sources keep coming back to. If AI is a reflection of its creators, then we need to take a good hard look at ourselves. What do we want the future to look like? What kind of world are we building with this technology?
Those are big questions. And honestly, I don't know if there are any easy answers.
But you know what? The fact that we're even asking them, that gives me hope. It means we get it, the weight of what we're dealing with here.
It's not just some cool gadget. This is serious stuff.
And as we move forward, we got to remember, AI isn't just one thing. It's not this big, scary monster in the sky.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be.
Okay, maybe. But really, it's a bunch of different tools, each with its own quirks. And we need to be smart about how we use them.
So informed optimism, right? Be excited, but don't check out. Ask questions.
Exactly. Don't just take things at face value. Demand transparency. Hold the creators accountable.
Because in the end, this isn't about blind faith in technology. It's about believing in ourselves, believing that we can create a future where AI helps us become better, not bitter.
And hopefully after this deep dive, that's something our listeners can walk away with. A sense of, cautious hope and maybe even a little bit of fire in their belly to get involved. Shape this thing for the better.
Because the future of AI isn't written in stone, it's being written right now. And we all have a hand in it.